Good evening, everybody, and welcome back to League Racing TV for Round 7 of Season 3 of TTML Division 3. My name is Aidan Carter, otherwise known as Carmentis. I'll be taking you through proceedings on a Thursday evening as per usual, and joining me once again in the commentary box so far, for the 7th time of this season, is TTG Conti. Conti, how are you doing this evening?
Yeah, doing really well. Thank you for the great introduction again. And no mic muting or anything, so we're all good.
Yeah, we're underway on time this time around. We can hear you. Nothing's gone wrong so far as of yet. Touch wood. Hopefully it doesn't go wrong this time around. But smooth sailing so far. We're into the 7th round of the season then, and coming off the back of a really exciting British Grand Prix that really threw up a surprise result in the end. We were expecting a new winner last time out, really, weren't we? We saw in the dry conditions, Autogear Nolan really was a step above the field, but the rain played a massive part in the second half of the British Grand Prix, and if you missed it, in the end, Old School ended up winning for the 4th time this season, having qualified, I believe it was 13th on the grid, or somewhere near about 13th on the grid in the end. Kiki was also on the podium, along with, I believe it was Steve that was also on the podium, or Sean on the podium as well, yeah, sorry, in the Red Bull. All three of them starting outside the top 10, so Silverstone was a topsy-turvy round. Do we now come to Monza for the 7th round? Are you expecting more of the same here?
I hope so. I really hope so. I mean, these guys haven't let us down. And who knows, last race was the weather hustled things up a bit. Who knows what it's going to be today? But yeah, I must say overall now with F1 AMG, who I believe didn't finish last week.
Yeah.
Old School really running away with it now.
Yeah, he's had the start of the season really was F1 AMG's. It had a really strong start to the season. Old School was comfortably second out of the first runs, but in these last few rounds it really has swung. The momentum has really swung, like you say, in the favour of Old School, who does now lead the championship. After that round, he led the championship going into Silverstone by a single point, but like you say, the retirement from F1 AMG means that there is now a massive 31-point gap now between our top two in the standings. So Old School leads the way, just behind Old School and F1 AMG in the championship. Nolan still holds 3rd place. What a gutting race for him this time last week. He should have really, if the race had stayed dry, Nolan probably would have dominated that race from start to finish, but it didn't go his way in the end. He's 3rd in the championship, having not scored last time out. 4th is now Langfell. He's ahead of Kiki, who's jumped up after a good result last week. Steph in 6th, ahead of Martin Bell. David in 8th. Steve is in 9th. And Hero Jokin rounds off the top 10, just outside the top 10. Jan is in 11th with his best result of the season so far last time out at Britain with a 4th place finish. And then it's the two Red Bulls of Funky Chicken and Sean, who are 12th and 13th. So it's a real close fight, really, isn't it? Between, well, anywhere from Nolan pretty much all the way down to Sean, or maybe even Kieran Trapp in 14th in the championship. They're separated by about 40 points, those 10 drivers. But the top two are so far now ahead of the rest of the field. It's surely, easily now, it's a 2-horse race.
Yeah, and even less of a 2-horse race than last week, because the gap between Old School and F1 AMG is quite big. I mean, 31 points. Of course, a race winner's 30 points in TTML, and one crash of Old School could turn it all around with the fastest lap. She get a point for that as well. But yeah, gaps are massive between P1, P2, P3, and behind that, it's just like what we've seen last season. Really close, and you can just gain 5-6 places in one race.
Yeah, you could really shoot up through the field with one result. A lot of those people at the bottom end of the top 10 are kind of really riding on a one race where they've had a really good result. Hero Jokin stands to mind, a podium in the first round, now 10th in the standings. Just on board with Kiki, he's the first person setting a lap in qualifying around Monza then. He's heading up towards the Ascari chicane at the end of the second sector now into the third sector, 52.6 in the middle part, but I believe the AlphaTauri on the road behind him is on a faster lap, and Kiki really offline midway through Ascari, has to back out of that one to not spin the car, so Kiki is not going to be able to set a valid lap time with that, and he loses the rear of the car on the grass as well. Langfell was the driver that passed him, so Langfell looks like he's going to be the first person to set a time in the AlphaTauri, currently 4th in the standings. Has been a better season so far for Langfell than he's had in the past. Really strong showing as he heads up towards the line. Then it looks like it's going to be in the 19s. It's a 19.4 from Langfell to start the session. That's immediately beaten by half a second though by Simply Superman, puts himself onto provisional pole. That's then beaten by his Alfa Romeo teammate of Autogear Nolan, who does an 18.8, goes nearly just over a tenth of a second clear of his teammate Old School, goes into third. That was just then beaten by Nelly, who's now gone third in the Racing Point on a 19.1. Times are coming in thick and fast. Here comes Steve up to the line in the Renault. He now goes P4 on a 19.3, so good luck from him. The two Red Bulls will be next. It looks like Funky Chicken might have got a toe from his teammate at some point in this lap. Funky Chicken up towards the line, and an 18.8 goes half a tenth of a second faster than Nolan and on to provisional pole. So a good lap time from Funky Chicken, who really has upped his pace as the season's gone on. He has been a real threat for podiums ever since he got his first podium of the season, I believe, at Baku. Since then, he has been very, very strong. He's on provisional pole position, but once again, Nolan in qualifying right up there again.
Yeah, as always, there's just a couple of things we can expect before you can just predict before the race starts. That's Nolan being in the top 3 in quali, and Sean starting on the mediums in qualifying.
Yeah.
That's just, it's just written in stone almost. But yeah, Funky Chicken really doing a good job, and as you said, Baku was a podium for him, and last race as well, I believe his qualifying was relatively good, and now for his banker lap in 18.8, yeah, great.
Yeah, I think he was running in a net P4, P5 position last time at Silverstone before. Obviously, the rain hit and really put pay to his chances in that race as well. So he has been on the up, has the Red Bull driver, currently 12th in the standings, but only a couple points outside the top 10. F1 AMG is currently on the lap, though, and it looks like he's 0.3 of a second up on Funky Chicken in the middle part of the lap already. So it looks like a strong first run from the AlphaTauri driver. Let's see what he can do. F1 AMG not for being that strong in qualifying. I don't actually remember if he's picked up a pole position so far this season. It's always the race where F1 AMG does come alive. Qualifying not really his strong suit, but coming out off the parabolica up towards the line, and it's an 18.3. He goes half a second clear at the front of the field. That's a stunning lap time from F1 AMG. Put himself on provisional pole. It's going to have to take some lap from anyone else to try and beat that one. That is a really stunning lap time from F1 AMG then.
Yeah, it is, and it's just his first lap. I mean, the track is going to be more grippy at the end of quali, so yeah, setting an 18.3 this early in qualifying, it's astonishing.
Yeah, really astonishing time for F1 like you say. We've got Tom in the McLaren making his debut, I believe, today. So we'll see what he can do. As he has a massive slide there coming out of the Della Roggia chicane. A real tank slapper. Manages to hold the car, so well held there from Tom, but that is really going to have cost him seconds of time coming out of the Della Roggia chicane there. So he's heading through the Lesmos. He's continuing on this lap, so it looks like he just wants to get a banker lap on the board. We've got 3 drivers that have set times on the medium compound tyres. Both Haas cars of Graham and Kieran Trapp have set times. Sean, as you would expect as well, like you said earlier on, out on the mediums as per usual. I think he's doing another run on the same set of tyres as we speak. He's actually heading through the parabolica right now, so we'll see if he is able to improve on that 20.5 off the back of his first podium of the season. Comes up to the line, it's a 20.2, so he now leads the way for the medium run. He goes just ahead of Graham, but you would imagine Sean is going to come in and put a set of soft compound tyres on as qualifying gets further into this session. Then we've got more people starting laps now. Kiki and Martin Bell just starting runs. Martin Bell, after a great start to the season, really has quite fallen off in this midpoint. He's dropped to the bottom end now of the top 10, looking for a bit of a comeback in the late part of this season. Looked like the only one at the start of the championship that could really keep up with Old School and F1 AMG. That has fallen away. We've got someone who's just jumped up the board. That is Jan, who's gone into P2 in the Mercedes off the back of his best result of the season so far, up into second place. And in qualifying so far, the last few rounds, Jan's qualifying pace, we've got to say, has quite improved. Yeah,
it has. We've seen last 2 seasons that qualifying wasn't really a strong suit, but he always came back in the race. Start of this season, qualifying wasn't really good as well, but he just had a lack of race pace as well, and he's just putting up the end now. And I think, as Martin Bell almost lost the car.
Yeah, I just caught that at the end of that. He just had a big of a tank tapper coming out of Ascari. Well held, able to keep going in the session, but that is his first lap time in qualifying pretty much over with.
Yeah, it is. But at least his wheels are still on the car, so he can set another lap time on fresh tyres, I think.
Yeah, diving into the pit lane is Kiki, crosses the line then off the back of his first podium of the season as well, goes into P8 on a 19.2, so Good time there from Kikiko, just ahead of his teammate. He'll be hoping for a little bit more, though, as the session goes on. So, nearly halfway through the session, F1MG still on pole by 0.4 of a second. Jan second, Funky Chicken third, Nolan fourth ahead of Simply Superman in fifth. Nolan's actually just cut across the De La Rocha chicane. Kalia has made a mistake in the first chicane of the lap and has invalidated his time. Simply Superman 0.2 of a second up on his personal best at the moment, so we'll see what he can do. Looks like he might be the next person to get into the 1 minute 18s. We've got more people coming up to start laps. I believe Funky Chicken has just started his next run in qualifying. We've got one of the Alpha Tauris. That will be Langfell, I think, coming to finish his next run, but he's invalidated. He was 0.3 of a second up and has invalidated, so that could have put him well inside the top 10. But unfortunately, that is not going to come into fruition for him. Simply Superman then up to the line. What can he do as he crosses the line? It's an 18.8, goes just ahead of Funky Chicken by 0.02 of a second. But the Red Bull man is on another lap. Steve next up to the line, I believe, but he's just dived into the pit lane, so he's not going to be improving on his time. Steph will be next to start a lap, and Kiki's just coming into the pit lane just behind him. So we've just got a bit of a wait now for the next drivers to finish their times. I think the next person to finish his time is going to be our championship leader, Old School, currently down in 11th place. Really struggled in qualifying in Silverstone, could not get inside the top 10 really at any point in the session. Played out beautifully for him in the race, but if that race had stayed dry, Old School really would have struggled. He comes up to the line now, goes P3 with a much better second run in qualifying. That's more like it from our championship leader. Goes just behind Jan and into third place, then ahead of Simply Superman. Right up at the front of the field then once again is Old School. We've got more people coming up to finish laps. Nelly's just crossed the line, didn't improve on his time, stays P7 for the time being. We've got the Haskars as well coming up to the line. I believe Kieran Chap will be the one to set a lap time. Currently 17th, crosses the line, goes P10 on his first lap on the set of soft compound tyres. A good lap from Kieran. And looking throughout the field so far, apart from F1 AMG, it's really close.
Yeah, again, I mean, the gap between Jen and what is it, Flores is within a second. That's
well, sorry to jump in there, just caught with Nolan. Nolan's had a big spin coming out of Ascar and has clipped the wall on the inside. So Nolan currently 6th on the grid, will not continue in qualifying. What a shame for Nolan, who's had such a run of bad luck and is now out in the session. That is a disaster for the man third in the standings. Steph, meanwhile, coming out of the final corner. He's had a lackluster season so far, looking to try and get something on the board, crosses the line. Only goes into P7 though. It's an exactly the same lap time as Nolan, but it still puts him in P7 for the time being. Steph looking still, I believe, for possibly his first podium of the season. Someone's just jumped back up the field, I believe. I didn't quite see who that was that's jumped up the field a little bit in the standings. We'll have to wait and see. Someone, I think that might have been Kelvin maybe in the McLaren, that's jumped up into P11 so far. So that is who's moved up. We've still got more people yet to set times. Both Ferraris still yet to set a time in the session. Graham is up on his personal best. His first time so far was on the mediums. He's out on the softs, looking to set his first time in this session on the softs. His teammate's gone up to P10. You would imagine Graham's going to go somewhere similar to his teammate as he comes around the final corner. Is not going to get any sort of dirty air from F1 AMG, and F1 AMG's actually improved on an 18.2 now, gone even faster. And Graham, actually, a stunning final sector from Graham, goes P4, so an 18.7 from the Haas driver. Good lap time for Graham, and so far that is by far his best qualifying position of the season. Yeah,
it is. I don't believe he, please correct me if I'm wrong, but he didn't join at the start of the season, but every race he does, and every quali he does, he's getting better and better, so really getting the feel for it, and yeah, for him as well. Great time, 18.7 isn't the wrong time, isn't a bad time around this track.
Yeah, it really isn't. Up to P4 then as Martin Bell coming around the final corner now. What can he do? Currently without a time in the session. 19th on the grid, crosses the line, goes P9 only on an 18.9, goes just ahead of David by 0.07 of a second. So the gap is still incredibly close in the midfield. But Martin Bell currently only 9th on the grid in that Ferrari. His Ferrari teammate Hero Jokin currently last, still yet to set a time in this session, so we'll wait and see what he can do when he's able to get out there for that final run. We've got more people coming around to finish laps then. I believe Tom is coming to the end of his second time in qualifying. Let's see what he can do. Can he improve on a 19.8? He comes up towards the line, goes P11 on a 19 flat, so a good improvement from the McLaren man, and I believe someone around them has just improved as well. I think that might have been one of the Red Bulls. Yeah, it was Sean, who's gone only P16 on his first run on the soft compound tyres, so looking for a little bit more time there. A few drivers though, you've got to say, after these first ones in qualifying, a little bit out of position. Most notably, you've got to say Langfell, currently 18th on the grid.
Yeah, Langfell, Kiki, Hey, what happened? Oh, no, Graham was up there. Yeah, kind of struggling, but maybe they're just pushing too hard. I want to set in fast times and invalidate, and have to be careful the lap after that. But who knows? The ones standing out to me so far in positive way is Graham, and I must say, Simply Superman. Last couple of qualies as well. His quality pace really good. Always in the top 5.
Yeah, his race pace has struggled somewhat so far this season. He has not had the season I think either he or we were expecting really from him. He's a 10th up in the middle part of the lap, so he is finding yet more time at the moment. Currently 8th on the grid. A 10th improvement could put him on the front row, so we'll see what his final sector is like. Still no one within half a second of F1 AMG at the moment who has dominated qualifying so far. Simply Superman then coming up towards the Parabolica. See what he can do. This might be his final run in the session unless he dives into the pit lane now, which I don't think he looks like he's going to do. Or no, he does dive into the pit lane. Simply Superman deciding to come in for a fresh set of soft compound tyres, go out again towards the end. So there's more time in that Alfa Romeo driver, currently 5th on the grid, but just wants to set a better time on a fresher set of tyres at the end. So we'll wait and see what he can do. I believe Steve might be on another lap, or he might be just diving into the pit lane. He is. So we've got a bit of a lull now in the session. Funky Chicken, currently 6th on the grid, has invalidated his next one in qualifying, so he won't be improving on the 3rd row so far unless he continues on. Yeah, he's on a lap, currently 3rd then. What's he doing in the middle part of the lap? I didn't quite see how far up he is on his time, but it said he had a purple middle sector, so it looks like it could be a good improvement for our championship leader. Still half a second off of pole position at the moment, which is his championship rival. Coming into the Parabolica then, what can Old School do on what will be his final run? Probably in qualifying, comes out of the final corner, goes up towards the line to the right hand side for the shortest run to the line, and it's an 18.4, goes 0.3 of a second faster, goes comfortably into P2, but still quite a way off F1 AMG, who is yet to come out of the pit lane yet for his final run in the session. Got a bit of a lull now. We've only got 4 cars out on the track at the moment, and still no one able to get anywhere near F1 AMG.
Yeah, Old School closest, and that's still yeah, more than 2/10 difference between them. So yeah, I think my prediction for pole is going to be F1 AMG, and it's pretty easy, pretty easy prediction, I think. Or yeah, who knows? Maybe someone surprises us and just does a stellar lap and just grabs P1 and in the final few seconds.
We have to wait and see if anyone is able to do that. It is, like you say, going to have to be a stellar lap time from someone to be able to pull that off. We'll wait and see if Funky Chicken has invalidated again, so he's not going to be improving on P6. He dives into the pit lane. That is his qualifying session over then. Funky Chicken 6th on the grid, 2,000ths behind Simply Superman, and now everyone is coming out onto the track. Very reminiscent of real life Monza qualifying. This is everyone's coming out right at the final moment, so they're really leaving it to the last moment to just try and get a gap in this field. Maybe try and get a toe off their teammate if they're right around them, which both AlphaTauris have gone out together, so that could work out nicely for the 2 AlphaTauri drivers if they work together in qualifying. I believe Kelvin is the furthest along a lap at the moment. He currently 16th on the grid, a 19.2. Is down in the first sector though by nearly 0.2 of a second, so it's going to have to find some time throughout the rest of the lap. Clip the grass in the braking zone for the second Lesmo there. It's been a bit of a messy lap so far from the McLaren man. What's the end of the second sector looking like for him so far? Comes up towards Ascari, and it is 8,000ths up, so he's found that 0.2 of a second in the middle part of the lap, so who knows where he could have been with his match, his personal best in the first sector. Real wobble there in the final part of Ascari. A lot of drivers have been caught out in that final part of Ascari so far today, as he heads up towards the Parabolica for the last time in the session. Kelvin up towards the Parabolica and around the final corner, currently 16th on the grid. Where can he go? Can he get himself anywhere near maybe his teammate, currently 11th on the grid? Comes around the final corner and dives into the pit lane, so maybe he wasn't going to improve on that time, decides against improving, comes into the pit lane, and that is Kelvin's qualifying session over as well. And Old School has retired in the pit lane, wasn't able to get back out on the track for another run. So that is it for Old School's qualifying session, second on the grid. That is it for Kelvin, that is it for Funky Chicken, that's it for Nolan as well. We've got some people starting lap times now. Graham's just started a lap. Nelly has also just started a lap. He's now in the middle part of the lap. He's 10th down in the first sector though, coming up towards the end of the second sector. 10th and a half up, so Nelly, after a great first run in the session, looking to try and bounce back in the final part. Ooh, as I say that though, he's invalidated on the inside. A bit of a curse there, sorry Nelly, but after a great first run, hasn't been able to improve since, and that is his qualifying's run over unless he can get another run in on the same set of tyres is going to really cut it fine, and I don't think he's going to make it. He's backed off, so Nelly's qualifying session is over. Graham has invalidated his final run in qualifying, so he won't be improving on his P4 that he currently holds. His teammate Kieran Trappist behind him on the road. Is he improving? No, he's also invalidated, so everyone so far has made mistakes on their final run, and they have not been able to improve. Kieran Trapp did an 18.9 on that lap, but it was invalid, so he's not able to get any higher than 15th on the grid. Hero Jokin, still without a time in this session, is in the first sector. 26.1 is fairly decent from him. Martin Bell will be the next person to cross the line, currently 9th, but he has also invalidated, so people really struggling to get his final runs in at the end of the session. I believe Steph has backed off his final run, so Steph won't be improving on P8. Sean will be the next person, one of the next people to have a go across the line. I think Simply Superman, currently 5th on the grid, is coming around the final corner. He will be the next person to set a valid time in the session. Comes up towards the line, and it's an 18.7, goes P3 just ahead of Jan. Kiki now goes P2 with a great final run, goes into second place on an 18.4. Jan is out of the session, having crashed coming out of the Ascari chicane. Martin Bell didn't improve on P11. We've got more people coming across the line. AMG improves yet again, ever so slightly, but still improves to do another 18.2. Hero Jokin will be next across the line. Has invalidated his final run though, so Hero Jokin won't even set a time in this session. 20th on the grid. In the end, as we've seen quite a few times already this season, a lot of drivers really making mistakes on their final runs. The only ones really on their final runs that really made any sort of gains are Kiki and Old School.
Yeah, they have. Yeah, I don't know what it is. Maybe they're just really driving on the edge, pushing hard to get a 10th or something out of their lap time. But as you said, really a lot of invalidation, especially Hero Jokin not setting a time. I think that's the first one for us this season.
Yeah, I think it is. Yeah, but I mean, we say that the last time Hero Jokin started last, he won the race. So who knows what could happen in this race? And it's Monza, so anything can happen. But here is the final running order then for you. F1AMG on pole position. Any one of the 3 times he would have set in that session would have been good enough for pole. That goes to show how good he was in qualifying. Kiki on second place ahead of Old School, 3rd Simply Superman, then Jan. Graham with his best qualifying in 6th ahead of David in 7th, Funky Chicken, Nolan and Steph round off the top 10. Martin Bell would be the first person outside the top 10. Tom on debut in 12th place ahead of Nelly. Steve, Sean, Kieran Trapp, Kelvin, Flores, Langfell and Hero Jokin are your 20 qualifiers then. And for all the people that set times, though, the top 19 separated by 1.2 seconds, which is really, really close in the end. For a track that, in terms of length, is really long, that's the nature of this track, though, isn't it? Only 11 corners that you really have to think about. A few of those barely even corners. This track does often promote very close racing.
Yeah, it does, and that's what we're probably going to see in the race as well. A DRS really powerful. If you fall out of it, really going to cost you. So yeah, some close racing, but in that as well, close racing around this track. One slip of your concentration in the braking zone, and everything, yeah, just goes to hell. Am I allowed to say that?
Yeah, I mean, it is. You are correct. So I mean, it can all go to hell if you get it wrong around this track. We've already seen a few drivers crashing at Ascari in qualifying. This track as well on the opening laps. High fuel in these cars in the fast chicanes in the opening laps, very difficult to manage. This track, you would say, is a pretty easy soft medium strategy in terms of tyres. The tyre wear around this track isn't that high because they do run the hardest compound here just because of the run around this circuit, but one thing to note around this track is that alternate strategy, if you're able to keep up with the soft runners in the opening laps, being on the softs at the end of the race can be a massive advantage here, can't it?
Yeah, it is. You're gonna win so much time because you're gonna have a light car with way more grip than the medium tires on the exit of the corners and in the fast corners. So you're gonna win loads of time and opportunities enough to overtake around this track. So yeah, if you can do the ultimate strategy, keeping that DRS train on your mediums, yeah, you got gold in your hands. I mean, nothing, if you don't mess up yourself, nothing can go wrong.
Yeah, exactly. It's a really, really good opportunity. The soft tyres, like I say, at the end, really, really strong on light fuel. And that is a good thing about the softs here is in terms of raw speed. While they may wear off in terms of actual percentage tyre wear, the raw speed of the soft tyres doesn't really die off like you see at other tracks, especially places like China, Bahrain, those kind of circuits where the soft tyres after maybe 3 or 4 laps, really do start to lose about a second a lap's worth of pace just because of how much tyre wear they do get. We're coming to the end then of the formation lap. Just outside the top 10, Martin Bell on the medium compound tyres. Tom is on the softs. And Ellie, Stephen, Shawn are on the mediums, Kieran Trapp is on the softs, and then Kelvin, Vloes, Langfeld and Hero Jokin all on the medium tyres. So a little bit of a mix outside the top 10, but the majority going for the medium tyres. Before we get going though for this race, Consi, I'm sorry to ask you this once again, but who was your prediction for the race victory today?
Yeah, well, on quali, Martin Bell looking really good, and we know if nothing goes wrong, his race pace is strong as well. So I'm going for P1 F1 AMG. Kiki can be strong, but even though he's not that consistent, so I don't think he can keep that place. I think old school P3. And you know what? Let's put Martin Bell in there on a P3.
Yeah, I think that could definitely happen as well. F1 AMG, it'd be hard to bet against him winning this one. Old school, I think you would say would probably come home with second. I'm going to have to agree with you. I've got my eye on Martin Bell, and if not Martin Bell, I have got my eye on Jan to maybe pick up a podium here as well. But everyone lining up at the back of the field. Just wait for Langfeld and Hero Jokin to line up on the back row of the grid. Langfeld 4th in the standings, 19th on the grid. He has got a long way to go in this race if he wants to try and challenge Nolan for that P3 slot in the championship. But here we go then. The lights are coming on ahead of the drive. The best start in this long run down towards the first chicane. Out and away they go, and it's a fairly even start. In fact, I think Kiki gets a little bit better start than F1 AMG. Old school looking like it's a great start from 3rd on the grid, trying to make it go 3 wide into towards turn 1, trying to split the middle, but decides against going for it. Kiki's down the inside for the first part of the chicane, but F1 AMG hold it clean around the outside. Simply Superman and Jan running side by side, and Simply Superman's just going to hold on to that 4th place to run side by side all the way through the field. Coming out of the chicane, someone's gone off the road at the back. I think that was Steph that's gone off the road towards the back. He's dropped down to 14th place. It's been another disaster for the Williams man in the mid-pack. Jan's got the move done on Simply Superman. David and Graham running side by side, and they might get passed by Nolan here. They're going to go 3 wide into the first Lesmo. Nolan decides to back out of it. Graham desperate to hold on to that 6th place. David trying to drive around the outside of him, can't quite do it. Nolan's down the inside for the 2nd Lesmo. There's a bit of wheel-to-wheel contact. They get away with it, but now Funky Chicken's there trying to get the move done. He can't get it done. Tom from 12th on the grid on a fresh set of soft compound tyres, had a great start. He's trying to go around the outside of the Red Bull driver in towards the Ascari chicane, but is boxed in on the outside of the corner, can't quite get the move done. And now Nelly on the mediums is trying to get a move done as well. It's all Constantinoing up in the mid-pack. They're all fighting for the same piece of road. Clean start at the front, school up to 2nd ahead of Kiki now. Kiki's dropped back down into 3rd. Yeah, a good starting up into 4th, and already the top 2 look like they're starting to run away a bit.
Yeah, they do, but Old School really used a lot of ERS. He was out of ERS at the end of the lap. So I think F1 AMG really fast in the race. But overall, for lap 1 around this track, and especially turn 1, it was really clean and kind of scary seeing these guys running side by side in some of these corners, but they kept it clean.
Bit further down, Graham, I think, hopped over the curb at the first part of the chicane and then ended up running into the gravel a little bit on the exit of the corner. That has allowed David and Nolan to go past the Haas drivers. So Graham, it's been a bit of a messy start to this race after his best qualifying of the season. It's Nelly in the background's gone deep on the brakes, battling, I think, with Martin Bell going into the corner. Nelly holds on to that 11th place. Martin Bell under pressure from Steph, who has had a torrid season so far, having started inside the top 10, has dropped now down into 13th place after, I think, a contact coming out of the first chicane on the first lap. He's got away with no damage by the looks of things, but he is now stuck mid-pack. Kieran Trapp right behind him on a fresh set of soft compound tyres. Kelvin's had from 16th right to the back of the field, but so far everyone seems to be still going without any damage. It seems to be clean so far, as Tom has gone off. As I say that, Tom's gone off the road coming out of Ascari. He's got away with no damage to his front wing. He's just had a trip through the gravel. After a great start to the race, Tom now drops to the back of the field on those soft compound tyres. That's a real shame for the McLaren man, who's got a lot of work to make, just got a lot of ground to make up now.
Yeah, especially because he started on the soft tyres. You really need to win some positions, as he did at the start. But yeah, this is what we talked about. One slip up of your concentration, and Ascari as well. It's a pretty big curve. You want to take it because it saves you time. But if you take it wrong, it can really. Oh no!
Ooh,
Tom, what happened?
I didn't quite see what happened there. I just saw that in the background that Tom has gone off the road and got a time penalty. Didn't quite see what happened there. I don't know if he's clipped someone going in towards the chicane, but Hero Jokin's lost a bit of time in that Ferrari. I don't know if he quite caught the end of that, Conti. Do you know what happened there?
Yeah. Yeah, I did. He just outbroke himself and tried to get out of the way of everybody and cut the chicane, but he just came right in the middle of everything and touched two guys, so his wings damaged, and luckily he didn't spin anyone, but yeah, some people are probably gonna be a little bit frustrated about it.
Yeah, I'll have to see if anyone else has picked up any damage in that incident. By the looks of things, I don't think anyone actually has. I think most of them have got away with no damage. In fact, it might be his McLaren teammate Kelvin that's the one that's picked up damage. It is actually Kelvin with a bit of front wing damage just further up. David on the move now, up to P5. He passes Simply Superman going into the Parabolica. Steph's already back up into the top 10, interestingly. So was running 13th a lap ago, now already back up into 10th. So he's worked his way up quite nicely in that Williams. The medium tyres not producing a lot of pace so far in this race. They're struggling a little bit just to try and keep up with the drivers in front. Nelly has used up almost all of his ERS already in this race, and it's fairly difficult to keep ERS as Nelly's going to look to the inside line in towards the first chicane. He's really late on the brakes. There's no way he's going to get that stopped. Steph decides to go for the switchback, drives clean around the outside, and Martin Bell does exactly the same thing. Martin Bell now back up into 11th place. He is now the lead medium runner. Nelly there, I think, really desperate to keep track position, which around this track position isn't really that crucial, and that was a fight that Nelly didn't really need to have.
No, and as you said, it isn't a fight you really need to have, and it only costs him time and almost all of his ERS, and he's really close to Martin Bell now. It looks like Nelly is running quite low down for a setup, because really on the straights he's winning so much time on Martin Bell.
He really is. Martin Bell does seem a little bit uncomfortable on those medium tyres. He's not got a lot of mid-corner speed. I don't know if he's picked up any damage we can't see. And again, Martin Bell, big spin at Ascari, and he's completely faced the wrong ways. Martin Bell, we predicted possibly could have a podium in this one. He's just not looked comfortable. Not in qualifying, and now on the medium tyres doesn't look comfortable either. And now Kieran Trapp's got the move done on Nelly, and Kieran Trapp is up into 11th place now on the soft tyres. The medium tyres are just not producing any grip for any of these drivers. No one in the mediums has seemed strong as further up the field. Jan's going to get the move on Kiki. Jan then up into 3rd place, passes the Renault, who has slowly but surely been losing pace to our top two. F1 AMG with a 2-second gap over Old School, who's nearly out of ERS, and F1 AMG has a lot more ERS to use. Jan now up into 3rd, but nearly 3 seconds back now from Old School. Kiki, after a good qualifying, you can tell in the race, just doesn't have the raw speed.
Yeah, he doesn't. He doesn't have the consistency F1 AMG and Old School do have. And struggling a bit with his traction in the, David overtakes him now as well because of his bad exit on the corner, almost losing it. So Kiki really struggling. I hope he's got a better run on the mediums on the second stint than he's having now, because I don't think he's having fun at the moment.
It's very bizarre. A lot of drivers seem to be very mixed on how they feel on the tyres. On the mediums, most drivers seem to be struggling, really, apart from Sean and Hero joking. They seem to be the only ones that are getting solid pace out of these medium tyres. On the softs at the front is again a real mix. A lot of drivers seem okay on the mediums, but Kiki is now plummeting a little bit. Again, Simply Superman is struggling in the opening phases of the race on the soft compound tyres. After a strong qualifying, he's already starting to drop places, and now Nolan is all over the back of his teammate. You would imagine that Simply Superman's not going to put up too much of a fight compared to his teammate here, and actually Simply Superman moves to the left hand side of the track. Nolan's going to look to the inside line of his teammate, goes down the inside, and like I said, Simply Superman's just not really fighting this one into the chicane. Backside of the corner, Nolan up a place then and up into 6th. Simply Superman drops yet another place. So again in races, I don't know what it is for Simply Superman. He has really strong qualifying pace, but in the race Simply Superman just cannot keep up.
Yeah, it's it's probably because of high fuel loads. It makes the car a bit understeery, and especially in corners like this, and we've seen it in Ascari with Martin Bell. It can really catch you out. So yeah, on low fuel he's really fast. Probably we're going to see that at the end of the race as well, when you obviously burn a lot of fuel, that his pace is going to be picking up. The first couple of laps, really struggling on the car, just really fighting the car instead of driving the car.
Yeah, Nolan onto the back of Kiki. Kiki has dropped now out of DRS range to the Mercedes drivers in front. So Kiki really struggling at the moment in those soft compound tyres, just doesn't have any raw speed. David has run out of ERS completely, but he's now just tucked underneath his teammate here. So Mercedes can start to work together a little bit as there's a yellow flag, as that is Nelly that's gone off the road coming out of Ascari. Ascari has claimed yet another victim. I don't know if Nelly's got away with no damage. He hasn't got any front wing damage. Again, another driver getting away with no front wing damage, having spun out of Ascari, but Nelly, a really torrid start to the race, battles all over the place, and now has spun out of that lead medium spot. Hero Jokin now from last on the grid, now leads the medium assault, currently in 12th place, and Nelly's crashed coming out of the Parabolica, so that is Nelly's session over and done with. His Racing Point teammate has just been overtaken by Langfell as well, who's gone up into 15th place, and in behind Steve has gone very deep into turn 1. The medium runners, you've got to say here, the medium tyres do look shocking. No one on the medium tyres at the moment seems to have any good speed.
Yeah, and and I don't know what it is. I mean, medium tyres aren't that bad around this track, but yeah, probably with the high fuel loads and the medium tyres, they're not as grippy obviously as soft tyres. People just can't get pace out of them, and yeah, you predicted it already. The only one fast on most of the time fast on the mediums is the second running second of the medium runners now is Sean.
Yeah. Well, Sean a couple laps ago was actually overtaken as well by Hero Jokin, so these two, at the moment, comfortably the most comfortable on these medium compound tyres. As you would expect from a driver like Sean who runs on the medium tyres, it seems almost constantly runs on those tyres, so you would expect him to be quite comfortable on this compound. Nelly has unfortunately left the session. That is his race over and done with. On to lap 8 of this race, and now F1 AMG's lead over Old School, now 3 seconds at a track like Monza, where you expect massive DRS trains. We have got a DRS train really from 5th all the way down to 9th at the moment in those soft runners. You expect massive DRS trains at this track, but actually after the battles we had on the opening laps and the raw speed really of our race leader, he has simply driven away for the rest of the
yeah he has. I mean, yeah, this is probably one of his favorite tracks, but 3.7 seconds in 8 laps is just massive around this track. And Old School really not doing bad, because the difference between him and Jan is 2.5 seconds as well. I mean, that's quite big, but yeah, F1 AMG really likes his track obviously, and yeah, is doing his own thing. He's not even pushing because his ERS is looking healthy as well. So yeah, having fun doing his thing and winning time lap by lap.
Yeah, this man just seems to be cruising at the moment, doesn't he? This looks like a very comfortable race so far. As further down the field, Kiki is now overtaken by Nolan into the Parabolica. Nolan then up into P5, but Nolan does have a time penalty hanging over his head at the moment. A few drivers picked up penalties on that lap. You can see on board Kiki just has no rear grip at all, as we've got Old School and Nolan into the pit lane then at the end of lap 8, start of lap 9 for a set of medium compound tyres. I would have expected Kiki to follow them in, but he's just decided not to do that. As further down, Graham's having a look at Simply Superman. So after that poor first lap, Graham's starting to come back a little bit at these drivers in front who are really struggling on their soft compound tyres. Kiki and Simply Superman, the ones that have been struggling so far on those tyres. But you saw on board with Kiki, he's just got no rear traction, so it seems that Kiki, for some reason, his setup is just burning out his rear tyres.
Yeah, it is. Or he's just really aggressive in the traction zones, just accelerating out of the corners, because as you said, halfway the last corner, the backside just wanted to kick out, really struggling to keep it tight. But yeah, he's losing time because of it, and probably some confidence as well, because if you just keep fighting your car corner by corner, it's not good for your raw speed and confidence in the car.
No, it isn't. Meanwhile, further down, Graham's got the move done on Simply Superman into Ascari, dives down the inside of the corner, gets it done nice and cleanly. Graham up into 5th, and now Funky Chicken trying to get the move done, and does, down into the Parabolica, and all of a sudden Steph has caught these guys now, having been about 3 seconds back. He's now caught them almost immediately, so he's on a push at the moment, as Simply Superman has a big wobble there coming out of the Parabolica, and now most of them diving into the pit lane. David into the pits, Kiki into the pits, Funky Chicken, Simply Superman and Steph all in. F1 AMG, our race leader, staying out on the track so far. Jan had to stay out because his teammates into the pit lane. Graham staying out as well. So Three drivers still out there currently on the soft compound tyres. I think David was held quite a bit in his pit box because of all the drivers coming in, so hopefully that hasn't cost him too much time compared to his teammate, but it has allowed Kiki to get right back underneath him coming out of the pit lane. And there goes Nolan. Nolan's jumped the lot of them in that pit stop, so Nolan comes out ahead of David quite comfortably in the end. So David running in a nice P4 position before that pit stop, held in the pit lane, has now come out behind Nolan, so now David's got to do some catching up here.
Yeah, he does. He does. And I must say, overall, not really flashy driving on, but he won a couple of positions at the start and was doing pretty good. Didn't have the pace of Jan, but was holding on quite okay. So doing good so far, but Nolan really winning some positions over now. And only 4 seconds behind Old School now. And we know he obviously has the raw pace. So yeah, let's see if he's got the confidence on these medium tires and can win some time.
Yeah, see if he can get something back, some sort of redemption hopefully for Silverstone, which was obviously so heartbreaking for him. As into the pit lane comes our race leader, Jan, once again staying out. Now this is a little bit strange for me in terms of Jan. As Graham comes into the pit lane, Jan was running in a third place, but his teammate was still within DRS range of him behind. So if Jan leaves this too long, then he is going to get jumped by not only his teammate, but Nolan at this point in the race as well. So Jan can't leave it too long because he could get stuck right in the middle of a DRS train and could lose that third place.
Yeah, he can, and if he comes out behind Nolan, Kiki, David, and Graham, I mean, he can come out everywhere, and especially with the pit exit here, you got pretty high speed, and the guys coming from the long straight could smell trouble in turn 1 as well.
Yeah, they really could. As further down the field, Graham's just had his pit stop. He's come out behind Funky Chicken, so he's lost a place to the Red Bull driver by staying out a lap longer. Interestingly, Simply Superman has gone onto the hards. I don't know if that was a strategic call or whether that was some sort of error, but Simply Superman, after a great qualifying, plummeted on the softs, is now behind Steph and on the hard compound tyres, which are not strong by any stretch of the way around this circuit. They are really slow around this circuit, so he is going to struggle massively on those tyres. F1AMG, meanwhile, after his pit stop, comes out ahead of Langfell, his teammate, already a pit stop ahead of his teammate, 3 seconds ahead of him. Steve up behind them, Floor is there as well. Old School's got a queue of cars to try and get past before he's one car behind F1AMG. So, somehow, F1AMG staying out 2 laps longer has actually increased its gap over Old School.
Yeah, well, that just shows, as Jan's going in now, but that just shows the confidence he has, and that he isn't pushing the car. He can just be gentle on his tires, don't ruin them, and still put out 2 fast laps extra over Old School, and yeah, it just won him time.
Yeah, meanwhile, Jan comes out of the pit lane, and crucially for Jan, he is ahead of Martin Bell, so he timed that right on the bubble, just timed that to absolute perfection, gets ahead of Martin Bell, who's still yet to pit after that early spin. Nolan now behind Martin Bell, looking for a move maybe into the De La Roger, really late on the brakes, too late on the brakes maybe. Somehow he got that stopped. Wow, brilliant stuff from Nolan. That was really late on the brakes. Amazingly, he got it stopped, and Nolan's up into 9th place. Fair play. I was fully expecting him to go straight on there, but he got it stopped in the end, gets that 9th place, so he's ahead of Martin Bell, who's now got David, Kiki, Funky Chicken and Graham right up behind him, and Steph not too far back either. But crucially for Jan, he stayed out a couple laps longer and has still been able to hold on to that net P3 place. So Jan here, at the moment, if he can keep it clean, especially with Nolan with the penalty behind him, Jan's in a great opportunity here to pick up his first podium of the season.
Yeah, he can. And Jan, another driver, I mean, we had Sean and Kiki who were just needing a podium to get in a good rhythm and good flow. Jan is another driver who just needs a good result, because overall his season hasn't been great. So yeah, who knows? And I think overall, if he gets a podium, it's well deserved.
Martin has made the move on Martin. Kiki gets the move done down the pit straight past Martin Bell, and now Funky Chicken and Graham wait in the wings to get the move done, and Steph picks up his second penalty of the race. So Steph, this race, while he's got the raw speed, the penalties are costing him, and again his season just keeps falling apart. Steph has not really had a single strong race so far this season. It really has been a real disaster for the man who looked like he could have been a real championship threat last season if he'd raced the full season. It's just not come together for the Williams man, currently 15th on the road. Funky Chicken now trying to get that moved on to Martin Bell before David and Kiki pull away from him, but at the moment Martin Bell holding station in that 12th place. Further up the field, Old School's got the move done on Flores and Steve. He now is just on the back of Langfell. At the same time, F1 AMG has passed Sean and is right up behind Hero Jokin already. So Hero Jokin already under pressure from our net race leader. Old School going to try and get the move done on Langfell, but he's over 5 seconds behind our net race leader at this point in the race. Do you see it possibly happening where Jan could have a run at maybe Old School for second place?
I don't know. It could be, but I just haven't seen his raw pace on the mediums yet. But yeah, so far it's looking good for Jan. He's having pace and doing good, but still has some cars in front of him who he has to pass, like Flores, and he has to do it quickly because he's gonna hold him up. So I don't think these guys are coming in for the next 2 laps.
Yeah, definitely not coming in for the next 2, maybe 3 laps, like you say. Jan is pulling away, though, from Nolan at the moment. He's got a good gap back to Nolan at the moment. Jan's just got to try and get past Flores down that DRS straight in towards Ascari. Hopes he doesn't get held up too long behind the Racing Point. Funky Chicken has got the move done on Martin Bell for 12th place, so he's up and back up behind the Renault driver. Graham and Steph's turn now to have a run at Martin Bell with Kieran Trapp just 3 seconds down the road, not too far behind this battle himself either. Simply Superman on this hard compound tyre, still without a penalty, so that could help him later on in the race, but the hard's just at the moment not producing any pace for him as Jan has passed Flores in towards the Ascari chicane, gets the move done quite nicely up into 7th place. It's going to be Jan's probably going to catch the medium runners in front of him by the time they actually come into the pit, so they might not hold him up, which could work out quite nicely for Jan if he can get DRS and then not get held up by them. That would work out quite nicely for the Mercedes driver. As further back, I think that's Graham going for the move on Martin Bell down towards the Parabolica. And Martin Bell, you can just tell the difference in age of tyres. Despite the mediums not really having a lot of percentage tyre wear, the pace drop-off is still quite high, and Martin Bell is just getting swamped at this point.
Yeah, he is, and probably he's going to be happy when he can pit and put on the soft tires, because a couple of laps ago he was in 10th, I believe, and just everybody passing him left, right, and center. Doesn't have the grip, doesn't have the pace at the moment, and we know it's a quick driver, so don't think it's him. It's just his old tires giving up.
Yeah, like you say, Ty's just giving up at that point in this race. Sean has already pitted as Nolan's got the move done on Flores in towards the Delaware chicane, and Flores really slow through the chicane there, has held up David just a little bit, so David trying to go around the outside of the first Lesmer. That's a bold move, and he pulls it off. Nice move from David, clean around the outside. Kiki follows him through, so both of them driving clean around the outside of Flores, who's really early on the brakes in the second Lesmer, and Funky Chicken just runs into the back of the Racing Point. These older medium tyres not producing any pace whatsoever. A lot of drivers really struggling. Hero Joking now with a time penalty running in second place. Round the outside in towards the Scary Funky Chicken, then up into 10th. They all work their way through, but crucially, David has now lost DRS range to Nolan in front, and David doesn't really have any ERS to try and get back in it. So David's really going to have to push us now. Flores is overtaken by Graham, who gets past and up into 11th place. Graham still without a penalty in this one, so he will benefit on Funky Chicken, who's the driver in front of him, who currently penalty. Then pitted for soft compound tyres, comes out 17th and 15 seconds behind Simply Superman. That is a massive gap, and I don't think that's a gap that Sean can really recover from.
No, no, I think it's too much time to make up, even on the soft tires. 15 seconds, yeah, and people in front of him. I mean, no, I don't see it happening, even on Simply Superman with hard tires on.
Yeah, unless there's some sort of safety car that bring him back into play, I don't, like you say, I do not see this happening for Sean. He's so far back at this point. Flores comes out of the pit lane 5 seconds further back in 17th place. The two McLarens running at the back. Nose to tail, 18th and 19th. What a disastrous season it's been for McLaren so far. They've not really scored any meaningful points so far in this championship. F1 AMG then leads the way coming up towards the end of lap 16. Old School now with a time penalty, so that could play crucial in this race. Jan is outside the penalty range, but not by much. It is about, I would say, it's only about half a second out of range. So if Jan can keep it clean and try and close in, this could work out quite nicely for Jan, who does have a big ERS advantage and seemingly fuel advantage as well over Old School. So it does look like Jan could have the pace for that second place. And like I said, for Jan, gets the DRS and all of the drivers in front of him pit at the same time. So Jan, free track, bit of DRS, no one held him up. into third place, 3.5 seconds. Only needs to find half a second, and he's in penalty range of Old School.
Yeah, and so far everything he's been planning and doing came up perfectly. Him going two laps extra, comes out in front of the queue, perfect. Catching up with the cars in front of him right before they pit, gets DRS, perfect. 3.5 seconds. I see him winning that half second over Old School, but I'm not counting Old School out because if he's gonna push, he can be just a little bit faster than he already is. So yeah, it's gonna be exciting to see how this pans out.
Yeah, it's going to be very exciting to see how this pans out. Like you say, Hero Joking then, all of the drivers are well on the medians, have pitted for the softs. Hero Joking, the lead person on the softs, out in 12th, only 5.5 seconds behind Simply Superman. So you would imagine that Hero Joking could probably close that gap down quite quickly. Sean with the fastest lap of the race on that previous lap as well. So it just goes to show how fast those soft compound tyres really are. They do have a lot of raw speed. Hero Joking is going to have to try and pass Simply Superman and Kieran Trap, you've got to say, pretty quickly. The problem for Hero Joking is that penalty is going to hold him back, especially when he gets to the train that is now formed back behind Kiki once again. Kiki's got the move done on David, and there's now a queue forming for that 5th place. As Hero Joking gets to the back of that queue, it's really going to be difficult for him to try and make those moves stick, isn't it?
Yeah, it can. I mean, with the double toe DRS, even on soft tires, it is difficult, but it is possible. I mean, especially in the chicanes, you got so much more grip. If you can brake that bit later on the inside, or even on the outside, you got the inside on the second corner of a chicane. You can make it happen, but you have to be really careful not to destroy your race. And yeah, if you destroy your race in such an incident, probably the one you're crashing into as well.
Yeah, Steve, meanwhile, further down, has got the move done on Sean and is up into 13th place. Langfeld now looking to try and get a move done on Sean as well. Martin Bell has also passed Flores on the soft compound tyres as Nolan picks up his second penalty now, crucially. So that is going to play heavily into this race. Now, Nolan currently 4th, would lose out to pretty much everyone behind him apart from Steph. So at the moment, Nolan could drop to about 8th place with these penalties that he's currently got. And crucially on this lap as well, Nolan has dropped right back into the clutches of Kiki. He had a 1 second buffer over Kiki. Now all of a sudden Kiki's right back in DRS rate. So I don't know if Nolan made a mistake or whether he's just struggling for pace. But now that queue for 5th is now a queue for 4th.
It is, and must say Kiki's struggling on the soft tires. Really seems clean and neat on the medium tires. So found his pace back, and is he gonna go for the move in here? No, he doesn't dare to. Tucks in behind, and probably in the next DRS zone is going to try it, or is he going to do it here?
Going to try and go outside, yeah. Oh my word, a little bit of wheel contact there coming into the curve. A Grande, Nolan out of ERS it seems, but also Kiki's pretty much out of ERS and trying to swap sides. Going to go to the inside line for the De La Rocha. Nolan parked the car in the middle of the road. Kiki decides against going for the move, so Kiki sits in 5th place for the time being, but these two battling is only going to start helping the drivers behind now. David as well without a penalty, looking feisty, has more ERS than both the drivers in front, trying to get back up to that 4th place where he was before the pit stops. We'll see what he can do in this battle. Graham still in 8th place as well without a penalty, could capitalise on that as well if he can get past Funky Chicken and get in amongst that battle. By the way, F1AMG is in this race. He's 8.2 seconds clear now, as now Kiki picks up a time penalty crucially. So that now plays beautifully into David's hands. He doesn't even need to get past his two drivers in front now.
No, he can just let them battle, and if he can keep Funky Chicken behind him, and even Funky Chicken has a penalty as well, so can even let Funky Chicken pass him and still pick up that place. But the thing with David now is he's underfueled.
There he is, right on the bubble at the moment with that yellow fuel warning. I think Old School has the same yellow fuel warning. Yeah, he does. He does have the same fuel warning at the moment. As Steph has got the move on Graham down in towards the chicane. So Steph up into 8th place, but Steph, I think, went so deep into the chicane that he might have actually run maybe into the side of Funky Chicken and has had to back out of the corner. So Graham's got back up into... That didn't play out for Steph in the end. Steph down into 9th. Looking a bit further down, Hero Joking, that gap now between him and Simply Superman was 5.6 seconds 2 laps ago. It's now 1.6 seconds. So Hero Joking flying about 1.5 seconds a lap faster than Simply Superman, who is now running at fairly similar pace to the medium runners in front of him. So Hero Joking has got really decent speed, and you've got to say at this point in the race, Hero Joking much faster than all the other soft runners around him.
Yeah, he is. I mean, running away is maybe too big of a word, but crawling away from Steve, Langfell, and Sean. Sean not having a bad pace, but yeah, isn't winning the time. And I must say, I know Martin Bell had an incident. Ooh,
that's Kieran. Kieran has spun at the Ascari chicane. That's another one that's gone round. Kieran is out of the race. He wasn't able to get away with it like some other drivers have, and that is a virtual safety car, so no full safety car. And Nolan's decided to pit, interestingly. Now that, if I'm completely honest, I think that's a mistake. I think maybe Nolan was expecting a full safety car, only the virtuals come out, and despite it being a virtual, still the pit lane loss here is going to be about 20 seconds. Nolan then drops from P4 on the road outside the top 10. Well outside the top 10.
Yeah, to be honest, Sean goes in as well.
Mm.
Does Sean have damage? Yeah, to be honest, it has to be a mistake. Maybe he read it wrong, he saw full safety car instead of virtual safety car, don't know. But Sean did the same thing. Putting on new softs, didn't need a new front wing, so yeah, don't know. Yeah, maybe there's something really big and smart behind it, but I can't see it.
Yeah, I can't see it either. I can't see what this strategy is, because even with that, even if Nolan does get these soft tyres up to speed and just start flying through the field, he's behind Langfell, Steve and Hirojoken, who are all now on the same strategy as him, and Nolan has 2 penalties compared to the 1 of all the drivers in front, so Nolan's on the back foot in every sense of the word. Now as Kiki's gone off the road, Kiki has now gone off at Ascari and he's hit the wall, so Kiki from 4th place, now out of this race completely, so what a shame. Again for Kiki, running in a really good spot, throws it away towards the end of the race. We've seen this so him in the past. He's thrown it away once again out of Ascari. I think this time around we're going to get away with no safety car at all, but that has now completely freed David up. David thought he's just had to sit behind those 2 drivers in front of him. They've both gone out of his way. Yeah,
only 3 drivers in front of him. If they bottle it, he's got P1. Don't see it happening, I don't hope it's happening, but yeah, it's just weird. And as you said, Kiki, strong qualifying pace, strong race pace on the mediums, not on the softs but on the mediums. And again, as he did before, just throwing his race in the bin.
Yeah, what a shame for Kiki once again, but that's put David up into P4, Funky checking up into P5. That penalty though, and Graham is still with it. Graham could be picking up his first top 5 finish of the season if he can stick with him, as Nolan picks up yet another penalty, so that is only going to make this race even worse for the Alfa Romeo driver. Hirojoken now runs in 8th place, having passed Simply Superman. He's now up into 8th place. The gap is 7 seconds though to Steph in front. It's going to have to be some final laps and a battle really for the drivers in front if Hirojoken wants to get any higher than 8th. Still though, from 20th on the grid, really good recovery from Hirojoken.
Yeah, we were joking a bit about it, about his last time starting at the back of the field winning the race, but I think around this track this is pretty impressive as well. Climbing from 20th to 8th to P8 isn't bad, and yeah, if he stays here, if he can pull it home, I think it's a race to be proud of.
Yeah, definitely, and I think this might be one of his... This is going to be his best race since the first round of the season, where he obviously got that podium. Since then, it's been a real nightmare for the Ferrari driver, but this has been a good turn up for the books for Hirojoken, who's needed a strong result after that first podium of the season. Further down the field, Nolan is now battling with Langfell, and Langfell's trying to hold the inside line into the chicane. Nolan, though, is just going to drive around the outside of him at the first part. Langfell, though, still up the inside, coming out of the corners, trying to keep it down the inside of the curve Grande, but I think Nolan is just going to cover this up into the De La Roger, but Langfell using that excess ERS to try and get in front of Nolan in towards the chicane. Nolan's going to try that really late move on the brakes once again, gets the car stopped nicely into turn 3, gets the move done, and Nolan is back up into 11th place then, but still with only 5 laps to go in this race. For when we cross the line, there's not really enough time left in this race for Nolan to really cover any of those positions he has lost. In the lead of the race, F1MG leads by 7.5 seconds, but crucially, Jan 2.5 seconds behind Old School, still with a massive ERS advantage, so now Jan right within penalty range.
Yeah, if he can keep it clean, don't pick up any warnings or penalties himself, it's a P2 and a great race. And must say, Simply Superman on these hard tires is doing pretty good as well. I didn't expect him to do as good as he did on the hards, because they really don't have any pace in them. So yeah, great job from him as well.
Yeah, really good stuff. It's just a shame we can't really see what he's doing.
Sean.
Sean now, another one at Ascari. Yeah, Sean around, and that's a full safety car. Wow, so that spices things up completely now with only 3.5 laps left. We've got a full safety car for our third driver in 4 laps to go out at Ascari. Sean then, the next person to claim victim. And all 4 of our retirees, as Jan's got a drive-through for speeding under the safety car. What a living his best season, Jan. A comfortable second place in the bag. And a drive-through is what a shame for the Mercedes man, but that has played perfectly now for Dave, who now has another second place finish.
Yeah, he does, and probably, I mean, I would go in now if I were these drivers. So probably he is gonna end up in P2 in front of Old School, in front of Jan. F1 AMG staying out, so he's confident on the medium tires. Old School
staying out.
Not staying out as well.
Jan's into the lane. Yeah. The problem for Jan is he can't serve his drive-through now under the safety car. So even if he may as well just come in now, put a set of softs on, and hope for something at the end, because he's just not going to be able to do anything with that drive-through. He has to serve it under green flag conditions. So Jan's race is effectively over for what could have been. That's really a sum up of Jan's season, really, isn't it? He's had such good. He's shown flashes of pace. He's shown opportunities of getting really good results, and then just silly mistakes, really, of kind of throwing it away.
Yeah, he does, and he really improved on qualifying as well, because that wasn't his strong suit. But yeah, just luck isn't on his side. It's every race it's something for him, but yeah, hey, it is what it is. Just you have to bite through the sour apple completely, I think.
Yeah, as Jan and Langfeld actually really battling going in towards turn 1 because they were trying to get ahead of each other. I don't know why Jan was really battling so hard. It's not really going to make any difference to his race at this point. So Jan in 10th place now. After that pit stop, he was the only one of the leaders that came into the pit lane. Now, interestingly, what does this do for Hero Jokin, who's that gap between him? The safety car's in this lap, so immediately the safety car is coming in. Hero Jokin then right up behind this queue of medium runners now on a fresher set of soft compound tyres. Nolan is somewhat back in this race now, despite the 9 seconds of penalties. He is slightly back in this one, so we'll wait and see what they can do on the softs and how fast they are compared to the mediums. F1 AMG is going to lead them back to the start of this final restart then. 2 laps to go in this race. DRS will not play a part in this race any longer, so we'll wait and see who gets the best run in some, maybe down in towards turn 1, who can get a move done. David now onto the podium with a great opportunity at a second place finish. Graham could be staring at a podium here with 2 drivers in front of him with time penalties, so this could really change it up, as Steph has gone off the road on the way into the Parabolica, as if his race could not get any worse. And now as Hero Jokin's had to let him back through, and now they're really far behind the rest of the queue of cars here as they come up towards the line. Jan's in to serve his drive-through. Steph is going to be under masses of pressure here from Hero Jokin. Steve's right there as well in the Renaults. Hero Jokin's going to look to the inside line for turn 1. You would imagine he can be a lot later on the break. Steph trying to hold it around the outside line, is going to hold it for the second part, but Hero Jokin's just trying to get the better traction coming off of the corner, and he doesn't get it. He's on the grass. He loses the rear of the car. Steve has to back out, and Nolan passes the pair of them because they were caught up in each other's mistakes. That's allowed Nolan past the pair. Crucial mistake from Hero Jokin. That was the move that he needed to try and do. He didn't make it stick, and it's held him and Steve up, and it's allowed Nolan through.
Yeah, that was really scary to see, because he lost his traction. He cut right in front of Steve in the Renault, and I surely thought a crash was gonna happen, but luckily it didn't happen, and Nolan just don't know if it is. With Nolan, I don't even know if it's racecraft anymore of luck with him.
I don't know at this point either.
Yeah, if it's just going bad for him, and we've seen that on multiple occasions. With the Superman and Martin Bell was really wide there. Something happens, and he can capitulate on that.
Yeah, something weird happens. Also, someone's gone off. As you say, that's Nolan. Nolan's gone off at Parabolica and has broken his front wing. So has he run into the back of Steph into the final corner and broken his front wing? My word. And now all of a sudden Hero Jokin is having another go at Steph in towards turn 1 into the final lap. And this time around, Hero Jokin really late on the brakes gets the move done. So Hero Jokin up into 6th place, passes Steph on the track. Simply Superman with the fastest lap of the race. No, Martin Bell, sorry, with the fastest lap of the race. Currently down in 12th place. Jan's had to pit another time. 3 laps in a row he's had to pit. Steph's coming back at Hero Jokin into the De La Rocha chicane, but he's not going to be close enough under the brakes, and actually Nolan's trying to come back around the outside of him through the corner. This time around though, Steph is just going to hold on to it, but in towards the first Lesmo. Is he going to try and get the move done down the inside? Is Nolan. He's sticking his nose down the inside. Neither of them have a lot of grip at all in this one. Nolan's going to try and hold it down the inside of the second Lesmo, gets it done, and Steph loses the rear of the car, and Steve is just going to drive clean past the Williams man. And now Steve is going to try and have a go at Nolan, but I don't think he's going to be close enough in towards the Ascari chicane. We're on the final lap, and F1 AMG again at the safety car restart has just driven away from the rest of the pack. F1 AMG is going to pick up his 3rd win of the season, and we are still yet to see more than 2 winners this season. F1 AMG and Old School have dominated proceedings, and it's F1 AMG who's going to pick up his 3rd win of the season, and somewhat of a bounce back after Silverstone. F1 AMG will win in dominant fashion here in Monza. Old School crosses the line in 2nd, but David will get 2nd place. Graham will get on the podium. That is great to see Graham up on the podium. That is by far Haas's best result of the season so far. Old School drops to 4th, crucially for him in the championship. That is a lot of points lost to F1 AMG. Funky Chicken ends up in 5th ahead here. Hero Jokin, Steve, Simply Superman, Steph and Langfell. Nolan was in the middle of that pack and ended up dropping behind Martin Bell. That's how many penalties Nolan had at the end of that one. Flores 13th, and now we just wait for the 2 McLarens who weren't able to catch up to the safety car in time to finish that race off. Kelvin will be 14th and Tom on debut will be 15th. What a shame for Tom. He had a good start to the race and it all fell apart almost immediately after that, but they do get to the end and will score some points. An up and down topsy-turvy race, but F1 AMG dominated from start to finish.
Yeah, this guy, this race, he's been so far so consistent. Yeah, only the only one who could win this race. So yeah.
Yeah, never really looked in doubt, did it? Yeah, never ever looked in doubt. There was no one that was going to be able to take that away from him. Old School 2nd place on the road, but crucially that penalty costing him a podium here today. And we get to see David on the podium for the 2nd time this season. And we now get to see Graham on the podium for the first time, which is great to see. Ever the consistent driver is Graham. Always ends up inside the top 10, no matter what happens. Gets his first podium. It's kind of a shame to see where Graham could have been if he joined the season at the start. We don't know where he could have been, but that could throw him now close to the top 10, if not in the top 10 in the standings after that race. We will have to wait and see. David now, after Nolan's really poor result, David has a really good shot of being 3rd in the championship, and we've got to say, at the end of the season, we might have to have a bit of a discussion about David, because I think he's probably been the most improved driver so far this season. But F1 AMG takes up his 3rd win of the season. 2 winners so far. 7 races, only 2 winners. F1 AMG with the 3rd win of the season. David in 2nd ahead of Graham in 3rd. Old School 4th, our championship leader. His lead will be cut quite dramatically. Funky Chicken in the top 5 in the end. Had the pace to be battling for the podium, but that penalty cost him as well. Hero Jokin in 6th and 20th on the grid. Steve in 7th ahead of Simply Superman, who was running on the hards for the majority of that race. Good recovery somewhat ahead of Steph and Langfell. Martin Bell, Nolan, Flores, Kelvin and Tom were your finishers. Jan, Sean, Kiki, Kieran Sharp and Nelly, all 5 of them. Oh no, Jan, sorry, finished a lap down in the end. Did Jan. That's how much time he lost, having picked up a drive-through. Was running in 3rd place, a net 2nd place. And we had 4 drivers crash out at Ascari, and that's what brought out that final safety car. Topsy-turvy race. F1 AMG dominated in the end. But let's have that conversation about David. You've got to say he is the most improved driver so far this season.
Yeah, he probably is. I mean, really just ending up in great positions and driving really good. At the start of the season, he was only known to me by, just getting tires home in ridiculous high amount of laps. I mean, he did some bold strategies. Didn't think he would make it, but yeah, he's actually picking up the pace now and getting some great results in as well.
It's almost like David now doesn't have to rely on those bold strategies anymore. He's got the raw speed to really get the results in. So before we end off today's stream today, Conti, who is your driver of the day?
There's a couple of guys. Hero Jokin, starting from from P20, finishing in P6. Great result. Graham on his first podium, doing really good. Yeah, we can't count out F1 AMG. I mean, it's the boring choice, getting pole position and finishing in P1. But his pace was so good this race. He deserves it as well. So yeah, couple of guys who are my driver of the day.
Yeah, I think I definitely agree with you. F1 AMG. I think it would be boring to go for the winner, but he won it in such dominant fashion that we can't really overlook it. It was probably the most dominant race victory I think we've maybe had this season. It was absolutely brilliant stuff from F1 AMG. David and Graham as well, both great, solid races in the end, getting podiums, and Hero joking from the back of the field, like you say, having a really, really good result. So a number of people that could pick up that Driver of the Day award for me. I think if I was going to personally choose, though, I probably would have to go for F1 AMG solely because of how dominant that race was for him. It never looked in doubt from the moment he left the line. It never looked in doubt that he was going to win that race, even in qualifying. So much farther ahead than the rest of the field. So that is where we're going to round off the stream today, guys. Thank you so much for tuning in once again for another race this season. Another cracker. We head this time, next week, we head to round 8 of the season. We'll have to wait and see. I don't actually remember fully what the next round of the season is. I'll have to have a look at that one. I believe it is Singapore. So we go from one of the fastest tracks on the calendar to one of the slowest tracks on the calendar, and Singapore is sure to be a bit of a crazy race. I'm pretty sure it's always provided something a little bit surprising. Strategy there, obviously the walls and everything, it really does provide great racing to Singapore. Not maybe in the overtaking fashion, but in the strategy fashion, it is a really intriguing race to watch. So tune into that one this time next week. Obviously tune in as well to Divisions 4 and 5 on League Racing TV this time tomorrow. Just go and give Conti a bit of a cheer on. Let's hope he gets a better result this time around than he did this time last week. We'll wait and see. And now obviously tune into League Racing TV as well for the rest of the week this time next week. Divisions 1 is on Tuesday. EML Formula 1 is next Wednesday, and we are back along with Division 2 on Thursday at 8 PM. But from myself and Conti, it is thank you very much for tuning in once again, and we will see you in a week's time. Goodbye.